We are just 3 weeks away from the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And in many ways, New Orleans has come roaring back. Tourism is bustling and the population continues to grow. But after losing some 500 police officers in the wake of the storm, the city has not been able to get a strong grip on crime. And one New Orleans businessman decided to take matters into his own hands after his home was burglarized in a recent spike in crime. Sidney Torres created his own high-tech police force called the French Quarter Task Force. It is made up of off-duty police officers who patrol parts of the quarter on specially modified ATVs. When residents see something suspicious, they pull up an app and make a report. Now, some residents say it made them feel safer, but not everyone is convinced it's a good idea. The New York Times just ran a lengthy piece on the operation titled, "Who Runs the Streets of New Orleans?" And Sidney Torres joins us now. It's such a great pleasure to have you here with us. This started as a challenge between you and the mayor, in a sense that you called out Mayor Landrieu regarding crime, and he said what to you?
Well, it started at, after Katrina, I started a garbage company that cleaned up the French Quarter, and I was very involved for 7 years until I sold that company. But basically, I know the French Quarter like the back of my hand, and I live down there. So my home got robbed, and at first I didn't want to just come out and say anything or do anything about it because it was around Christmas time, and I wanted to learn more about what was going on in New Orleans. Right next door to me, a few days later, the bar gets robbed, armed robbery, and my mother was walking by, and I was just like, this is enough. So I produced a 30-second spot, and I called out the mayor and said, listen, this is what the deal is. He's the one who's responsible. The administration needs to do something about it. It's only 13 by 6 blocks. It's one of the largest revenue generators for the for the state and for the city. You need to do something. So I ran that commercial through the whole state, and I started doing testimonials with people who live in the quarter. And basically, the mayor's brother called me and said, "Would you please meet with him? Would you meet with my brother?"
What did he ask you to do?
He said, "Are you guys on the same team? You both care about New Orleans," which the mayor does. The mayor loves New Orleans, and his heart's in the right place. He's hugely popular, and he's doing a great job. And so we sat down, and he said, before we sat down, he said, "Put your money where your mouth is." He's made millions upon millions of dollars in the French Quarter, and that was kind of like the New York Times said, like a schoolboy threat. So I took that, went to meet with him, and he said, what's your ideas? And then that's how the whole app thing came out. So
your idea of putting your money where your mouth is, as Mayor Landrieu put it, was to start this police force, for lack of a better description.
Yeah, Tamara, I had no plans of starting a force and coming up with this app idea, but basically what happened was that when I sat with the mayor, I said, listen, why can't we use NOPD officers on their off time? We'll pay them a $50 an hour rate and basically put them on these ATV vehicles. And I designed this app, which is similar to Uber. Right. It goes directly to those officers.
But there are obviously some concerns. The New York Times notes that critics argue that such a plan undermines traditional police departments and heightens the fragile socioeconomic and racial tensions that already plague urban policing. Some people believe you focused on the French Quarter, where there's a more affluent population, and not some of the areas where there's a higher poverty rate and high crime as well. And then you have others like the former police chief of Philadelphia, who worries about privatizing police because then you have overzealous people who might take action into their own hands.
Cameron, listen, results show, okay? Crime's down 35 to 40% in the French Quarter, okay?
And you think it's because of
I don't think. I know.
Okay.
Working with the state police, working with our force, I know. I get real-time data. I created this app myself. I drew it on a napkin, like Bourbon Street, Royal Street, and the cross streets, aggressive solicitation, prostitution, all those things that the broken window theory, you want to address it before it gets worse. Our response time is between 4 to 8 minutes. It's unbelievable. What we've done in 4 months.
What about the concern that, yes, to your point, the numbers are improving in the French Quarter, but what about other parts of the city still suffering?
I love my city, and believe me, I got a phone call last night. They were having a meeting at Lakeview, and they trying to figure out how they deal with the crime. Police chief was there. I wasn't able to go, but I can tell you right now that the reason I went to the French Quarter is because I know it. I know how to get it cleaned. It's only 13 by 6 blocks. It's the largest revenue generator for the city and state. Once we get that cleaned up and keep it safe, it's very easy to put this task force in other areas. I'm already meeting with people in Atlanta who want to roll this out in Atlanta with the app and the task force and other places. So it's really working out great.
Well, I'm so appreciative that you came here. I know you flew all the way here to talk to us.
I'm happy to be here.
It's a fascinating article, and of course we all love New Orleans. It's a great city, and we're happy that every day it's fighting back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great pleasure to have you on.